Friday afternoon from somebody with Mike Wallace's office. And then the second page of this was my original cost estimate of those ponds back last year when we looked at them, and those unit prices we used were based on kind of a city of San Antonio area unit price. And anyway, so there's a big difference, obviously, between the cost that Mr. Wallace gave us and the cost that we came up with using kind of San Antonio area contractor bid unit prices. And the bid unit prices in that second page also include a contingency amount, 10% that we stuck in there. So that's why they're really high. But again, the reason I attached that, I just want to make sure that I understand that we're going to have to publicly, if we decide to build those ponds like that, we're going to have to go through a public bid process. And if Mr. Wallace is there and just sticks with his bid price, then great. But if he all of a sudden decides not to bid, I don't know what at this point in time, I don't want y'all to think that the cost is going to be much, much less at this point in time anyway. So anyway, Mr. Wallace seems to think that they can build these much less expensive. The idea is to get rid of that extra material on site somewhere within this area. Hopefully there's enough land nearby that they can take that excess material here and get rid of it within 1,000 feet.
Does anybody have a relationship with this company?
I'm there on Mayor Garza talked to them.
Yeah.
So I think she's a connection.
Yeah.
They're in need of dirt.
Yeah,
Sure.
they will.
Didn't they inquire about some?
They did.
Yeah. Okay, well then there you go, that might be a place to put it.
Like 50,000 yards of dirt, a lot of dirt.
They poured a slab there on that park?
Yes, sir.
Well, if I understand you correctly, and let the recap, number one thing, if we need to get with with them to find out if they're gonna, where they're gonna put the building, maybe let you work with them on grading. If you can come to the conclusion there one way or another, either through the property or whatever, then you're gonna go ahead and redesign that. Now then, we're talking about, maybe we need to get just like we did on the entrance, it's in the bid two ways on the intersection there. We may want to ask them to rid it all asphalt, or come in there and do concrete in that intersection, so that we can look at the option and all, because our priority is first, we gotta get that paved. We now have a ballpark on this, and depending on where that number is, we know how much money we have to proceed from that. Is that the plan that I hear and the stuff we need to do? And Ram, you're gonna be contacting them, giving them contact from Mr. Hyman?
Yeah.
Kind of like a plan?
You think that's the next step?
Well, that's the next procedure.
Thanks for getting us to this
Take place.
point.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Any other questions for Mr. Hyman? He did report that he's done the engineering work out there for the Whitmire,
Yeah.
so that's already been done. And then you'll give us a cost estimate for what you charge
Yes, I need to, I think I'm pretty well have my hands around the scope of the design work for the streets, and I'll send you a proposal that defines that. I think right now you've authorized me to do the first part of that, which is getting this information done, and now we have to, once we need to go forward now and complete the construction plans and bid documents
Right.
for the street. And then along with that, though, we need to address the drainage issue one way or the other, just to understand how that's going to be handled.
Okay.
I brought some.
I do have one more question.
Sure.
I know that we're approaching fall, and you know, this needs to get done as soon as we can. Are we running into issues then if we start getting in some cooler weather?
And do what you can't put the base down.
In this part of the country, that usually isn't.
Not usually an issue.
Yeah, there's usually going to be, it's never has really been an issue. I mean, there may, again, if we're talking about putting down hot mix or asphalt pavement or whatever, that typically has not been a problem, unless it's an unusually wet and cold winter, but that's typically has not been an issue as far as anybody doing asphalt work.
So don't you think they're probably gonna have to rip some of that up? I just can't imagine that you can just scab over?
Well, I think the 2-inch
To get
thick
the
stuff, I
compaction.
mean, it's probably not worth trying to,
Maybe not.
I mean,
No,
again-
probably not.
I mean, the bottom line is they need to make sure it's compacted, the subgrade, we'd like to be able to get in there and get the subgrade compacted and prepared, and then put the base on top of that and compact the base, but we're gonna assume that the subgrade is, which is probably not a very good assumption, but we need to give that a lot of consideration and thought, because I'd hate to, to do it right is to tear it all back out and start over again, but given that's not an option because of the cost, we want to try to find a way that still provides a street that's gonna be maintainable and doesn't create a big issue with y'all as far as, since the city or whoever's gonna be maintaining this forever, it's a consideration that we need to consider.
If you dig it up, you're probably not gonna like it.
I mean, one option would be just putting concrete streets. We could just put all concrete in, forget about the base, and just put in a 6-inch concrete street section.
This is a water well, this is not a oil well.
Well, I'm saying that's just an option.
Any other questions?
I've got some reduced copies, hopefully you can't tell the difference between red and orange, but, oh gosh, for that, I should have used yellow probably, red, yellow, and green, but they didn't do that.
Okay.
And here's a copy of that other exhibit, some reduced copies of the exhibit here that just describes that drain, and, you can pass that out too.
If there's any extras in there, just, you don't need it? If not, I want to extend our appreciation to Mr. Hyman working with us under the little bit unusual circumstances. We've got to complete this.
The challenge is just doing the right thing and make sure we utilize what's there, and just, once it's finished, everybody's gonna want it to not be tearing up, be torn up after a short time, and that's the challenge here. And I'm not for sure what kind of truck traffic goes in. Look at some of the trucks out there. Hopefully they're mostly empty when they come in, or not filled with whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
I can leave these here, go, I keep
Okay,
these.
all right, thank you.
And they're all covered with tarp.
I mean, the white, if the empty trucks are not a big problem, but if they're filled, it's a problem.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Hopefully it's.
And then maybe it's really, really full in there someday and all, so. Thank you
If
so
that
much very
happens,
much.
yes, if that happens, make sure they have the proper trailers to pull that in, with the legal, street legal.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Larry, I'll be in contact with you
All
tomorrow.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Take care of
Okay.
it. If I can, I would like to, we completed A, I would like us to move down to E. So we have Mr. Tommy Baker here, and like to proceed with that if it's agreeable with everyone. Okay, we're gonna go into discussing consideration action regarding selecting candidate for the position of executive director for FEDC. Before we go into executive session, does anyone want to make any comment out here in open meeting before we go there? Are we ready to go into executive session?
My comments after we do that.
Okay, we can do that. And now, I guess we're ready to
I
go.
move that we go into executive session to discuss item E.
I have a motion and a second to go into executive session. It is now 7:37, and we're gonna adjourn for just about 5 minutes, allow people to step out. Thank you.
Point of order, are you going to read the chapter that's indicating the reason why the board must convene an executive session?
I believe we are meeting with discussing personnel issue with a hiring of possible executive director.
Thank you.
Satisfied, sir?
And that's outlined in chapter 551 of the local government code, which I think is referenced there.